Good day, sir, ma'am, teacher, lecturers, students, and everything else in between. My name is Malcolm Willemse, and today I will be presenting a creative little educational tool or instrument that I have created to demonstrate the topic of depreciation. Firstly, I would acquire for my students just a normal sift bag like this, and then any small little round object that would be able to go into this bag. So the students will receive this on their desks apart, already sparking a little of their critical thinking skills, like thinking, what is this? What are we going to use it for? How will we use it? What does it symbolize? And stuff. Just, and it would spark their curiosity, keeping them engaged with the topic and the lesson. So firstly, I would have them just put all the small little round objects into the bag like so. And then just make a tie at the end here, so that we have both ends tied. Just like so. And then I will have them just take one maybe little hook that we can hook on here like this. We will use that later in the demonstration. Okay, so when they're done assembling, I will then just explain to them the whole concept of depreciation. Depreciation being the decrease in the value of an asset over its useful life. An asset being an economic resource controlled by the entity as a result of past events. It is an economic right that has the potential to produce economic benefits for the entity, meaning that the asset will be able to produce income for the business in its operation. Now, how does this relate to depreciation? This will be our machine, and this little hook that we put in here will be a component of the machine. So I would tell them this is our machine, and it is brand new. It is bought straight out of the store, and we just started our business, so it is still brand new. We're at the beginning of our first financial period. So I would have them then shake it. The shaking represents us using the machine. And as we shake it, we're going to cut a little hole there. As we shake it, these little things are going to start falling out. These things, we will then be, these things falling out will represent all of the items that this machinery has produced. So now, these are the items that this machine has produced, and us shaking it is it in our operations. So now, I would ask them then, now we are at the end of our first financial period, first year. We have produced this many in our first year. I would then ask them, do they think that the value of this machine is still the same at the end of the year as it was at the beginning of the year, given that this is no longer inside the machine, it's done producing it, and it's finished outside of the business? Do they think that this is still the same value as it was? Yeah. And hopefully they say no. Hopefully. So, yes. Now, I would explain them further. In the topic of depreciation, we have 3 methods on which we can calculate depreciation, being the straight line method, the diminishing balance method, and the units of production method. We will start with the straight line method. For the straight line method, we acquire an asset, and on the straight line method depreciation, the asset is depreciated with the same amount or percentage over its entire useful life. So it will be a percentage or an amount, a fixed percentage or a fixed amount at which the asset will decrease with every year. Secondly, we have the diminishing balance. Diminishing balance method. For the diminishing balance method, we will need three things. We will need the cost, we will need the accumulated depreciation, and we will need the percentage at which the asset will be depreciated. Thirdly is the units of production. The units of production method. This method entails that we buy an asset, and this machine or asset that we bought is intended to produce a certain amount of units over its useful life. Say for instance, we buy this asset and we intend for it to be used for 4 years, and we intend for it to be used for 200,000 units. That means at the end of each year, we expect this to have produced 50,000 units. And that 50,000 units would then bring the value of that machine down over its lifetime. So now that we know how we depreciate this machine, I would have the students, we're gonna go and look at the timeline of this machine. So as we use it, we shake it, we shake it, we shake it, we produce more, we produce more, we produce more, we produce more. Now while we're doing depreciation, we have three concepts. We have acquisition, we have replacement, and we have disposal. Firstly, we have acquisition. It was when we acquired the asset at the beginning of our period. So as we use it, now we have this little component that is here, right? This component, it breaks, or it has come to the end of the component's intended useful life, because the component can separately have its own. It depends whether the component is separately identifiable or not. But if it is separately identifiable, this component can have its own useful life and its own cost. So say for instance, this thing breaks. What are we going to have to do? We're going to have to do a replacement. So for this old component, we would have to then calculate, say for instance, we used it for 2 years. So for these 2 years, we used this component, and now it has come to the end, it's broken, or we just have to replace it. That's when we do the replacement. We go calculate the depreciation that it had over the 2 years, and then we dispose of the depreciation, and we dispose of the asset, and we dispose of its cost. Then we replace it with a new component, meaning we put a new one in there. So what we would do for the new component is it comes in here. And say for instance, we intended to use this machine for 4 years. So third and then fourth year. What we would do for this component then is we would go to calculate the depreciation for the rest of the 2 years of the machine, and we would add that to the total amount of depreciation for the whole machine. Okay, so now after we have done the replacement, we're still at the second financial year. We are gonna then still use it until we're at the third year. We're gonna use it. We are now at the 4th year's end, and we can clearly see our machine is empty now. Our machine has run out. What are we gonna do with it? We're gonna then dispose of it. So now we can either just dispose of it, throw it away, or give it to someone, or we can sell this. And if we were to sell it, we would then have to calculate the carrying amount of it. We would then have to calculate all the depreciation from all the 4 years, subtract that from the cost at which we bought it to get the carrying amount at the end of the 4th year. That carrying amount will then be taken, and with the amount that we sold the disposable asset for, that amount will then be compared to the carrying amount of the asset at the end of the 4th year, and we would then, the difference between the two will then determine whether we had a profit on the sale of an asset or a loss on the sale of an asset. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I plan on using this little educational tool to demonstrate the topic of depreciation. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson.